ambassadors, we have Eclipse ambassadors joining us, so we're really happy to have all of you. We're very excited to welcome our guest speakers, which is Andrea Jones and Caela Berry and Sam LeBuxner. We're going to be talking tonight about hosting events for the International Observe the Moon Night. And so hopefully you're in the right spot. We're going to be giving you lots of resources and tips about what you can do. For Zoom attendees, as a reminder, just be sure to change your chat to everyone because otherwise just the panelists will get it. Kat, I believe you have an announcement or two.
I do. We have a few things coming up. Number one is our follow-up webinar to this webinar on August 14th. And this is just in case you had any additional questions or concerns and you wanted to maybe, if you wanted to just bounce ideas off of other folks. And this is also going to be with the Museum Informal Educator Alliance. This is something that we've been doing for the last few months. And so we hope that you were able to attend the follow-up webinar on August 14th. The notifications for that would have been in the member news for August, but you will also get a follow-up email for that. Once again, office hours are back in session. So if you wanted to meet with me about getting your club organized for the fall, or if you wanted to discuss any issues that you're having connecting to your account, or maybe you wanted to just chat about what you can do to maximize your outreach, feel free to drop me a line. I'll go ahead and I'll drop the link for that Calendly link in the chat. And lastly, this is very important for coordinators and members. Night Sky Network has been around for almost 20 years. We will be 20 years old on September 2nd. And as a result of our anniversary, we have been gifted a new internal website. So you can expect some pretty nice changes in early September. We're going to go ahead and send instructions mid-August to all of the coordinators first, and then in early September to everyone. So coordinators and members, you will have access to the new internal NSN website. And so it's been a labor of love with Vivian White, of course, and our IT folks. And I can't wait for you all to see what it looks like now because it's nice and shiny and clean. And very, very much updated. So stay tuned for that email. Yeah, and that is it for me.
Thank you, Kat. Also, please feel free to greet one another as you're saying in the chat. I see a lot of folks are doing that already. And some of you have participated in the International Observe the Moon Night for many years. There are going to be some photos of NSN events when I'm talking next time. So it may be your club. I'm not sure. We have a few that will be coming up. As always, if you have any questions, you can submit them through the Q&A. That's a really good way to get your questions met. And now I'm going to turn it over to Andrea Jones, who's going to be talking about the International Observer Moon Night and how we got started.
All right. Thank you, Theresa. Thank you, amazing Night Sky Network hosts. And thank you all for coming. This is amazing. It's wonderful to see all these different places where people are participating from. So keep that coming. It's wonderful to find out where you're from and where you are right now and if you've participated. So a lot of experience in this room we're sensing. So this is going to be, I hope, a really fun evening or wherever you are, whatever time it happens to be, experience for all of us. And we're going to share some things today with you. And those experienced hosts out there, please share your, tips, resources, memories in the chat. We'd love to hear from you, and feel free to ask us questions. We'll have some time at the end, and ask each other questions. Rely on the folks that are here and have great ideas. I'm sure that I'm sure they'd be willing to share as well. So this is going to be a good evening. My name's Andrea Jones, and I'm the director of International Observe the Moon Night. It is a great honor and pleasure to be here with you all. I'm also the public engagement lead of the Solar System Exploration Division at NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center in Greenbelt, Maryland. And I'll let our co-hosts introduce themselves, and if we can advance to the next slide, Sandlin. Maybe Caela, you want to say hi?
Sure. Hey, everyone. I'm Caela. I'm here from Goddard Space Flight Center in Greenbelt, Maryland. Happy birthday, NSN. Thank you for having us. I'll tell you a little bit about website resources on science.nasa.gov /moon and moon.nasa.gov /observe later.
And I'm Sandlin Buxner. I'm at the Planetary Science Institute in Tucson, Arizona, and I'll be talking about how we can evaluate our events and tell a great story, and then, of course, ask for all of your feedback, because you are central to helping us make these events even better each year.
And as I mentioned already, I'm Theresa Summer, and I am here to tell people about the resources we have on the Night Sky Network website, as well as, for those of you who are not in Night Sky Network, how to connect with an amateur astronomer in your community.
Amazing. And we are here representing a phenomenal team. So we are some of the folks who help plan this and work on it all year. And we work with a lot of impressive people who together make these program resources available to you. So let's dive in here. And our very first order of business is to find out a little bit more of who's in the room here. So Sandlin, can you help us through this? Are we?
Awesome. So Kayla's putting the poll. We're going to use Mentimeter today. We're having little polls, so we're going to use a Mentimeter. On this one, you can't choose all that apply. Just choose one. We just want to see who's here really briefly, and we will put up the results in just a moment. So you should be seeing a poll that just asks you to say who's here. You can click on the link in the chat, and I'm going to toggle over in just a second to see who is here. Give everybody a few seconds to fill that out.
Yeah, so if it's...
I know, everyone's so many multiple roles. I know. It was one of those technological issues, so you just have to choose your favorite role for today. But you'll get to, as Theresa was going to say, you get to put it on the survey later. You get to actually tell us. This is just a snapshot.
Yeah, and I just wanted to mention that the link is in the chat, so just go there. Kayla's put it in there, and yes, everybody has multiple roles. I would have a hard time choosing between being an informal educator, an astronomer, or a space enthusiast. Also teacher. So put in like whatever you're feeling like tonight. Oh, nice. We have a lot of amateur astronomers, a lot of informal educators, some formal, some students. That's wonderful. If you, for some reason, can't get to the Mentimeter site, feel free to put it in the chat. Unfortunately, we can't add you to the poll, but unless we can, Sandlin. Kat also just put the link back in the chat.
Excellent. So we've got a good crowd here today. A lot of different areas of expertise joining in to this room here. So this should be really great. All right. Well, thank you for letting us know a little bit about yourselves and continue sharing with us today. And we're going to jump into some more information about the program. So many of you know this well, and for those of you who'd like a refresh or might be new here today, International Observe the Moon Night is a day each year that we invite everyone on Earth to observe the moon, to learn about the moon, and to honor our cultural and personal connections to the moon. So it's a day to catch up on what's been going on in lunar science and exploration, and you might know there's been a whole lot. And also a day to celebrate the moon in our arts, in our culture, and also to connect with lunar enthusiasts around the world. Many of you who are already representing an amazing geographic distribution today. So this is the heart of our program here. So you participate by hosting an event, or participating in an event, or observing with your family, friends, community, or as an individual observer. So there's a lot of different ways to get involved. Some of you may have hosted in-person events or virtual events or hybrid events, or having something public or private. All of these are options. And a lot of people also connect on social media. So we have a hashtag observe the moon on multiple different platforms, and it's a way to share your experience and share your view of the moon and find out what other people are observing and doing to celebrate in different areas. So with everything that's going on in the moon, one of the resources that we offer is some lunar science highlights from the past year. And we're also going to be sharing some of that through a NASA broadcast, and we'll tell you more about those details later. But these are resources to help you if you're many amateur astronomers out there. Some of you may be lunar experts yourselves, and some of you may have different areas of expertise. But if you want to catch up, we have some resources for you to do that, and then share some lunar science highlights with your community. Or you could just sit on the couch and find out what's going on, or by tuning in. So lots of different options here. And for the cultural and personal connections, this is a chance to really lean into different areas of how you, your family, your community are connected to the moon, how we all are. And then one other part of our program is, because the moon is an accessible entry point, it's visible in the sky, even from brightly lit skies. And because it's really something that so many of us are connected to, it's a way to have a comfortable starting point. And then you can launch from there to continued observations of the moon, of the skies, of the world around you. And so really, this is a hook into some continued observations. So that's the program overall, in maybe not enough detail or maybe too much, depending on your experience with us here. And if we could step ahead, we have our goals on our website, but just so you're aware, we have some kind of lofty goals, and we're trying to do some big things, and we can always strive. So we want to unite people around the world to celebrate lunar science and observation and exploration. And then what we offer is a platform to do this. So our website is a place where you can find out about lunar science and exploration from NASA. We want you to feel empowered to learn more on your own. And so we have resources to help continue your learning. We also are really excited about everything that you share about what you're doing and what people around the world share. So these stories, these moments, these things that connect us, we're really excited to give you a chance to do that on a certain day at a certain time, to really help unite that conversation. And then we want to support people who are interested in learning more. So we have those resources on our website. Next. All right, so timing. This event occurs on a Saturday in September or October every year. And it's generally around a first quarter phase. This year, it's a little bit later in terms of the moon phase. So it's going to be a little bit bigger and a little bit brighter, and it'll rise a little bit later. And so we're going to use this opportunity to see some new things along the terminator here. So a different phase allows us some different things to explore along that line between day and night on the moon. So we have some moon maps that'll help point to some of those resources for you. And the later phase this year is just really because of considerations of the weekends, the holidays, and other things that we try to avoid. But we're going to go with it. So every year it's going to be a little bit different, and that lets us see some new things through our telescopes or when we're looking out. Next, please. All right. So about the program in terms of how you can get involved. So International Observe the Moon Night events look different all around the world. And that is exactly what we want because we want you to take this event and make it your own. So we provide a structure and resources and tools for you to connect and learn about and celebrate the moon. But we want your experience to be based on the resources that you have available and your needs and your interests and the interests and needs of your audience. So your event might be more science focused or more art focused. It will depend, the size and the location will depend on what's available to you. And then we also want to emphasize that you don't necessarily need to do something new for International Observe the Moon Night. So if you have a monthly observing event scheduled, if you get together with your amateur astronomy club, or you get together with your scout troop, or you have a book club, there's a lot of different things that might be going on. And then you can just put a moon spin on them, make it a moon themed. And then we consider that to be an International Observe the Moon Night event if you would like it to be. So this is something that anyone can take and just spin it, or you can do something new. But just wanted to make sure that you know that it's wonderful to just have a community gathering that can take a moon theme. Next. All right, so this is looking back at last year. So this program continues to grow every year. We broke registration records again in our last program year, and we had participation in all 50 US states, 123 countries, all 7 continents, about 900,000 people around the world. The previous year, we had about that order of participants as well. And so when you participate, you are one of these people. You are one of these people who are together with others around the world. And that's my favorite part of observing on International Observe the Moon Night, is that sense of community and that realization that what I'm doing, looking up at the moon right now, is what people, throughout that day are doing as well. And I really feel that sense of community, and I hope you do as well. All right, 2024 is also exciting because this is our 15th year of International Observe the Moon Night. So this program was inspired by the successful arrival of the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter and the Lunar Crater Observing and Sensing Satellite at the moon. And we had a big party at NASA Goddard and NASA Ames, and we have been doing it ever since. And something that I think is really neat is that though we have developed, I hope, better tools and a cleaner, neater website and more accessible resources, the heart of the program remains the same. And in these pictures, you can see that, these are people who are observing and learning about and celebrating the moon. And that is still what we are doing today. So it's really exciting to maintain that core. Next, please. All right, 2024 in North America is also special because we just had 2 solar eclipses, which is amazing. I hope some of you got to see them. And there are also, of course, eclipses around the world at different times. And as a program, we've actually noticed bumps in participation around the world if there was a solar eclipse passing through there recently, which is kind of neat. So those of you in a place that had one recently, perhaps in North America, you might have an influx of people who just saw an eclipse and wanted to learn more about the moon and learn more and stay connected to the skies. And perhaps some of you are in this room today or are watching this later because of that. So just really exciting. And at NASA, we had a friendly competition between the moon, the Earth, and the sun to determine whose big day it was on the solar eclipse. And through a public vote, it was the moon's day. So we're excited to now be preparing for another moon's day. And then, as I'm preparing to pass things over to Theresa, I'm going to ask you one of my favorite questions, and something that we often ask because, again, it gets at the heart of this program. And I'd like you to think about your favorite memory of the moon. All right, and as you're thinking, I'll pass things to Theresa. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Andrea. I really appreciate that. I love thinking about the moon and the times that I've seen it. And I'm adding a piece onto Andrea's discussion or thought about your favorite memory of the moon. What made this moment memorable? Was it that your family was there, or that you first time you saw the moon through a telescope, or it was a phase you really like, or they served hot chocolate? There's some things that happened that made this memorable. So Sandlin's going to open a word cloud. And so I just want you to think about what features made this memorable for you.
Theresa, we've got a couple of comments that it's hard to hear you. Are you able to speak up, or are we able to adjust the volume? Oh, another comment says, can hear Theresa just fine. Thanks everybody for helping us understand what's going on here.
Okay, so Sandlin, can we go to the word cloud?
So it's the same link as before, and if everything's working perfectly, you should be able to enter your responses into the word cloud, and then we'll
If
toggle
you
it over.
haven't done a word cloud before, it's just you enter the word and it does the rest. So you should see a list of spaces you can use to put in your favorite words. And again, those are things that we're using to talk about what made your event memorable.
Yeah, I'm still going to the poll. I don't know if someone else is going somewhere else, but I tried to do it as well. Ooh, someone's going to the right place.
Is it still going to the poll? Okay, I'm going to just get a new link, because why not? And it told
No,
me,
it's working fine.
just in case, just for giggles, we'll put it right back in. And let's see, I'm gonna present it.
We have 20 responses so far, 23.
This is fun. Look at that.
Yeah. One of the things I love about word clouds is watching them change.
Me
So there's
too.
been telescope has been mentioned a few times. The eclipse has been mentioned a couple of times.
Yeah, that looks like it'll be a big theme from this year, and we do recognize that and hope, this is a great chance to catch up on eclipse memories. Like, talk with the people who you're with on September 14th and ask them about their experience, share your experience. Like, it's one of the most inspiring human experiences in my opinion, and I think in some of yours too. So I think it's wonderful to share those stories.
I love seeing these all coming in. Some people it was about the color the moon was, or about the moon occulting different objects, or childhood storybook. That's wonderful. The reason why I wanted to talk about this is because that's what we're here for tonight. Is we're going to be talking about how you can have a really wonderful event for International Observe the Moon Night. So we're just going to go back to slide 13, if that's okay, Sandlin. And thanks again for driving. So I want to talk about some hands-on activities and more things that you can get from the Night Sky Network. A few of you are amateur astronomers, and hopefully you already know about the Night Sky Network. But for those of you that might not know, let's jump to the next slide. Okay. We might need to refresh this, but this is the old view of the website, and what the Night Sky Network does is it's a collection of amateur astronomers that are in clubs across the country. And Astronomy Club is just a group of astronomers that get together and enjoy the sky. And in astronomy clubs that are part of the Night Sky Network, they do a lot of what we call public engagement, in that they're out in their communities doing outreach, sharing their telescopes, sharing their enthusiasm, and altogether they're fantastic people to get to know or become. So if you go to slide Yep, exactly. This is a list of some of the clubs that are in. We have 400, more than 450 clubs in the network across the country. And so you can see we're not everywhere. In the very remote places, there's where there's no people, there's no clubs. But otherwise, looking at the sky is a universal passion. And so that's a really wonderful way that you can connect with people. And so Caela is actually going to talk about Astronomers Without Borders, because there are clubs everywhere, but for Night Sky Network, we're just going to be looking at the US. So how can you connect with the Night Sky Network, or with an astronomy club if you want to join a club, or if you're looking for an astronomer? Next slide, please. Thanks. So this is from the new site, right? When you go to the nightskynetwork.org, you will find something that says Find Clubs and Events. And if you click on that link, it's going to show you a zip code area where you can put in the zip code of where you're from, and you can, it will show you clubs and events that are within 50 to 100 miles of your location. And so a really good way to connect with an amateur astronomer is that we recommend going to the event or a club meeting, so that you can find somebody you click with and invite them to do your International Observe the Moon night event. So they might already be doing something and you can join theirs, or you can ask somebody if they want to come to be with you. Next slide. Right. Another thing that is great about the Night Sky Network is the Outreach Resources tab. And if you go there, you're going to find all kinds of fun activities you can add to your event. I'm going to just go over a few of them. So one thing that the International Observe the Moon Night team does every year is we put out a moon map. Next slide, please. And so that specializes in the phase of the moon that it is during Ainam, which is the September 14th this year, right? And so the phase that it's going to be in is the waxing gibbous, right? And so, but we have a one that you can start anytime, right? This is up all year. And so you can explore the moon phases on this calendar, on this map that we have there. All maps are good maps. The next slide, please. And then some people like to do it over many nights. And so we have printable cards for all of the phases of the moon that are waxing, as it's from a tiny crescent, which it is right now, or as it's getting larger. It tells you different features that you can see. And so it's, somebody mentioned the color of the moon. It talks to you about colors, the history, craters, Maria, physical features. So lots of information about the moon, and you on these resources, and you can print it out, or if you are in a Night Sky Network club, you might already have this in your outreach kit. Next slide, please. So these are the lunar legend cards, and we have had cultures from all around the world see things in the moon. And it's just a human nature thing to explore the sky, as we mentioned earlier. We have an eclipse series that you can also find on the Night Sky Network called Ways of Knowing, but these ones are specifically about the moon. And it challenges visitors to see those images. And when you see those images, it can really lead to closer, more careful observation. It also empowers people to tell their own stories. And in specific, next slide, please. We have a handout that you can use to have folks do their own story. And so if you, in the next slide, you'll see it when we get to the next slide. Yeah, thank you. And so this has a big picture of the full moon, and then it says draw one or more characters. And this person, I just love this story. There were so many that are just so wonderful, but this one is about a painter and a farmer. And so once upon a time, a painter was painting a farmer's fence. Then the farmer said, let's have a seesaw battle. So the painter did. When they did, the painter accidentally brought up the paint, and the farmer made the painter go higher and higher into the space, and the painter spilled the paint on the moon. So I think that there's so much creativity in children and also in families. So I just really want to invite you to use this activity to share with the moon. Next slide, please, 23. Okay, great. So this is just really to give you the URL or the QR code. There's bit.ly/NSN moon. You can find all these resources there, or you can use the QR code you see on the screen. We'd love you to come and check it out. There is a lot of resources that I would spend all of the time on, but you know, we have many things we want to cover. So go there and check it out. If you want to add some resources to your event or watch a webinar, if it's cloudy, you can go to the Night Sky Network, and I invite you to check that out. So now you've heard about how to get an astronomer and some activities you can do. I just wanted to talk about linking to local events. The Night Sky Network is particularly great, the folks, the amateurs, about going to different locations, and it's fine to observe with your friends or your family and your neighbors. Those are great events, and we want you to register those as well. But maybe you want to have some more people considering tying your event to a local event that's already occurring. So this would be something like football games, maybe a downtown Saturday night event like an art walk or a museum that's open late, planetarium shows. Planetariums have notoriously shown the dark side of the moon laserium for International Observe the Moon Night. So there's a lot of really fun events that you can take part in. Next slide. Just really quickly, that there's a lot of libraries that do events. There's a lot of books that you can find that for reading to kids, those events can count too. To talk to the people in your community about those resources. Next slide. So this is a really wonderful event that it doesn't need to be that you have a telescope. You can see the moon with your bare eyes. So you can do daytime events. For example, go to a baseball field or a ball game. This one is outside of a community center. The first quarter moon we're in the waxing gibbous. So that rises at 3 p.m. and sets at 3 a.m. So probably you're not going to be up that late, but you can have a daytime event at 3 p.m. right after school gets out. Next slide. This is one of my favorites. As I mentioned, Astronomy Club, amateur astronomers are wonderful. This Oklahoma City Club, their event, they decided to tie it to a carnival. And in this atmosphere, it's too bright to see some of the features on the moon. So they projected it onto the ground. And I love that because all of the participants were able to become astronauts. So just hoping this gives you some inspiration for your events. And I'm going to turn it over to Caela now, because she can talk more about partners and how to register your events.
All right, thanks, Theresa. I love that image of the moon projection on the ground. That's so cool. So I work on the moon.nasa.gov, NSN.nasa.gov/moon team, and I'm going to share with you a few of the key resources that we've been preparing for you all. Eileen, I see you in the chat. That's awesome. Thank you for doing what you do. Wow. So when you're going to register your event and look for sort of International Observe the Moon Night 101 resources, you're going to head to moon.nasa.gov/observe. This is where, as Theresa alluded to, you'll be able to put your public event into our searchable database, or just add your private or household event or your individual observation to the global map. Next slide, please. This is also where you will find how to host resources. I know we have a lot of folks here who have done this before, maybe many times, but just in case anybody is looking for a get started guide, we do have that ready for you. Next slide, please. So each year in the evaluation data that you all provide to us after International Observer Night, we see this theme emerge that people want to connect with each other more. So I want to call out a few places that we hope to help facilitate that on the International Observer Night website. One is our Find a Partner page. And this is where you'll find info about, as Theresa mentioned, Astronomers Without Borders, some links that if you want to connect with another Astronomy Society or club, if you're already in one, or if you want to connect with a group because you're not in a group yet, we have some search engines to help you out with that. Resources for finding a speaker, if you're interested in finding a speaker, all of this is on the Find a Partner page. We also get requests for materials to promote events, and we do have a lot of those that I want to highlight for you, including a press release template, which you can edit with details that match your event, your setting, all kinds of social media shareables, graphics. Huge shout out to the graphic designer on our team. So go ahead and check that out if those are the kinds of things that you're looking for. Next slide, please. As always, we've got a batch of curated activities that's a little bit different this year than it's been in past years. There's a new edition of the First Women graphic novels and interactive experiences. So you'll find that up on the list, as well as a make your own comic book activity, art projects, citizen science projects. There's a little bit of something for everyone here. And while we curate a few recommended activities for each year, we also include links to lots of other collections, including some of the excellent stuff that you called out earlier, Theresa. So much good stuff out there. Next slide, please. All right, let's talk moon maps. Another thing that we know, because you tell us, is the moon map is our most used resource. And for just about the last year, we're really excited about this. We've been able to offer like a moon map light for every day of the year. That's our daily moon guide. So you can find this on NASA's moon website. It'll show a few recommended observing locations for each day of the year, whether you're observing with unaided eye, binoculars, or telescope. That's going to be there for you year round. Of course, we also have our more heavy-duty, date-specific International Observer Moon Night moon map. And this year, we've got a new version of that we're super excited to share with you. It's built on the same platform as the Daily Moon Guide, so it is now interactive. It's mobile friendly. You can pull it up on your phone when you're out observing with folks or on your own. And it mirrors the content structure that you may be familiar with from our previous moon maps. You'll see a category for lunar seas, a category for sites that are great to view through a telescope, and a category for human landing sites. But now you can click on each of those sites, pull up close-up views, pull up the details, and thanks for the links in the chat, everybody. I'll make sure to put a Daily Moon Guide link in there as well. Yeah, so we've got this new interactive.
Can you share,
moon
Caela?
map.
Someone is asking if we can share the Daily Moon Guide link.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. I think Andrea has just dropped it in the chat. Thanks, Andrea.
Oh, fantastic. Thanks.
I did, and I'll just mention it looks pretty ugly in there, but you don't actually need all of that to get there. So I'll put like you only need to enter that part. But yes, it gets kind of ugly when you see it all in there, but it can be more elegant if you want to point to it somewhere else.
So the link in the chat will take you to the moon map light for every day of the year. The QR code you see on the screen will take you to this year's International Observe the Moon Night map, which has just a greater density of stuff on it, mirroring our PDF version. And if you're looking for the PDF, if you're looking for something to print out and hand out, we do still have that too. Next slide, please. This is the same content, but in the classic format, and both of these are available on our moon map homepage, which I'll add to the chat as well. All right, so I hope you all have fun with these. Please let us know how they're working for you, what's not working so well, what you like. We really value that feedback, and it has guided the way we've approached this over the years. It'll continue to guide the way that we work on this going forward. Next slide, please. So I'll end with a QR back to the homepage and invitation to jump in wherever you'd like. We're available. If you click the feedback form on the website, you're going to reach our team. We're here to help if you're having trouble. And again, just thanks everyone for having us. Thanks for doing what you do and supporting lunar observing in your community. Over to Sandlin. Oh, shucks. I have one more slide. All right, excellent. So after International Observe the Moon Night, there are lots of ways you can stay involved with our community, and you'll find links to those on our Connect page. Yeah, tons to explore here. We'll have video resources available again this year, live streams of broadcasts if you're looking for some video content to show during your event. Let's see if I surprise myself again. Next slide, please. All right, over to Sandlin for real. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, so we're going to end with just how we are able to tell this amazing story from all your events for International Observe the Moon Night. So the first thing we want to say is that all feedback's really important. I think a lot of people are like, oh, is anyone going to read that when I write it? And the answer is, we do. We read every single comment that comes in, and we're so thrilled to get that feedback. The positive, the constructive, and frankly, the constructive feedback has led to improvements every year to making sure that this is an event that really supports our community. And that's what we're really, really excited. So we have two ways that we, a kind of International Observe the Moon Night Coordinating Committee, are collecting data with an invitation to you to collect data. And so we just want to let you know, everything that comes in from visitors to us, or from event hosts, facilitators, we look at and we try and make it actionable. So just to give you some examples, what Caela was talking about, your feedback has led to innovation. So for example, every year that moon map has been improved, and now we have this digital version. And again, it's all from feedback from people who are using this on the ground. And we really try and put the limited resources that we all have towards really making high impact things. The second great example is we are always asked about having editable but official press releases. And so we're really just trying to do that. And so we're excited to see what else can be done to really support the work that you're doing. So when we think about how you might evaluate or tell the story of your own event, we have some considerations for you to think about. And I think the first thing that you're thinking about if you want to tell the story of your event is to sit and think for a few minutes about what the goal of your evaluation or the goal of your event is. So some choices might be, I want to know how people found out about it, or why they came, or did they have a good time, or will they come again? Or what other programming do they want to see? There's lots and lots of things you could ask or want to know, but you really want to be explicit about your goals, because it's going to make the next steps much more easy if you know what it is you're trying to actually figure out. And if it's just, did they have a good time? Then you can be super simplified in what you ask. The second thing you want to think about is, how are you going to actually collect this data? right? Some people are super lucky. They have lots of staff and volunteers, and maybe you're going to have human beings that are able to hold an iPad or a phone to actually walk around and check on stuff. But most of us are kind of doing it and everyone's engaged. And so some of the things we're thinking about is, could you put a QR code up and have people click on it? Could you have a sticker board or just a whiteboard for people to put responses on? And again, depending on how much data you want to collect is going to drive, like, do I need a full 5-question survey, or will little sticker boards or places where people can throw beads, will that work to help me understand that? And so here's just some examples when you're thinking about it. Here are real examples where we actually just had simple sticker boards and we handed people stickers to say, did you learn something today at an event? Or we might have a suggestion board, or you could just say, enter your zip code here, whatever you want. This QR code on the right goes to something that we are really excited to have observers use. So we will make sure you have access. It's up on the website to this QR code. It goes to a central survey, just a few question survey for any observer, including you, around the world, to just tell us, how are you impacted by participating in this event? And so as you think about it, I will do the invitation as we do each year. We are happy to work with you to help you think through what you might want to do for your evaluation, and think about, hey, how do I want to collect that story and tell it to all my different stakeholders, the people who might really care about that. We are really excited because we roll up our surveys, our registration data and everything, and we start to figure out what is the overall impact. Andrea talked a little bit about this, but this is kind of what it looks like. And we are thrilled each year that we get to make a beautiful front and back glossy, like, hey, what did it look like this year? And you are all part of this. And so some of the questions we ask is, we ask visitors about if they were learning more about lunar science and exploration, if they had an interest to do more. We always get really positive responses. Those are the folks who are telling us what's going on. We are really excited to have global maps, and as each year we kind of get more and more all the way through the world, which is our goal, all states. And so here are just the numbers that we tally up. Those registrations include events as well as individual and family groups, all the countries that we have reached. And then again, we do an estimate based on all the data that comes in about our worldwide participation. You all and all the hosts will have the opportunity, and we hope you take it, to fill out. We've got it down to 10 questions this year. We just want to say we're super excited for folks who've given us lots of feedback, and now we've really pruned it down to the essentials. And so it's just a 1-page survey telling us about your event and your feedback on resources. That email will come out after an event, so look for it in the middle of September. In addition, we have a very short lunar observer survey. That's that same QR code. You can use a bit.ly, the code, and these questions are, of course, available for you to use if you just want to do paper, and that's totally fine. You can go to it. It's live, and we would love for you to embed the QR code or the bit.ly into anything that you're doing, just to encourage people to tell us about their event. I will say some of the most amazing quotes that we get come from this observer survey, from families who are observing, groups observing together. We just get really inspirational quotes that we love to share out. Lastly, before we do questions and all of that, we just want to invite you. And so Caela's going to put the link to register for an event. If you are not able to do an event, or maybe you want to do multiple, we want to invite you to register as a host, or as a family, or as an individual lunar observer, and to tell others. We're really excited. We have a lot of people registering through word of mouth, and we just are so excited to continue to grow the program, really for the good of everyone, as we kind of are excited about the moon. And with that, I'm gonna send it back to Andrea for any last closing things before we do some questions.
Yeah, thanks, Sandlin. And yeah, I think something that we really want you to understand is that you are part of this. So this is a huge global event, but each person who is involved is what makes it all together. And so when Sandlin was talking about the evaluation, of course, we're interested in programmatic evaluation and how we can improve the resources that we offer you. But we know that some of you need justification sometimes in order to continue participating and continuing offering these types of experiences for your community. And so we're happy to help you do that. And Sandlin is amazing and can, help those who need that justification to do that, or just know that you're making a difference and helping us continue to offer this as well. So thank you for that. And thank you all. And let's jump into questions. What have we got here? I don't know if we can, let's see. Oh, we just had some questions about, can we go to the poll? So is there anyone out there who would like to either put a question in Q&A or put it in the chat? But we're happy to take your questions and also hear from you if you have questions of each other or suggestions, recommendations, something that worked really well that you'd like to share, something that was terrible that you want others to know, never go down this path, that was awful. Anything that comes to mind.
I just want to mention that I know for the poll we couldn't put your everything in that you were, and so I put in the link in to the survey just for tonight. It's 3 questions, and it's you can select all of the things that you are, whatever role you are. So I'm gonna put it in the chat again.
And one of the questions that we responded to in the Q&A, someone requested that press release link. I'll put it here in the chat also, in case anyone else is looking for that.
And we do have another question. Our club is sticking with an October date due to scheduling. Do you still want us to register the event?
Yeah, so Caela, you were just navigating through this. Do you wanna take that one?
Yeah, sure thing. Hey, Jessica, thanks for the question. So our registration database is only set up to handle events within 2 weeks, or excuse me, in a 2-week window, about a week before and after the event date. Reach out to me on the side. Let's talk. We really want to accommodate people participating as much as we can, and somebody always has a conflict, no matter which dates we go with. But we'd love to work with you on figuring out a solution. Thanks. And I see there's another question in the chat. Does a virtual event have to be a social media event, or can it be an asynchronous event, like a web page with a philosophical article? Oh, that's interesting. Like, does creating content count as an event? It sounds like is the question. What do you think, Andrea, Director of International Social?
I mean, I say that we are very inclusive. Absolutely, it doesn't have to be a social media event. If you consider this to be your contribution, and like event is such a loose word for us, we've actually discussed whether we even wanted to keep that. It works for some people, and just participation is another word we've discussed. So yes, if you have a place that you are providing content, it's timely, it's intended, it's inspired by, this program, then sure, consider it. And then you can link to it and, put wherever you think is most appropriate in terms of geography, if you'd like to register it and have it on the map. But yeah, we want you to do this in your own way and use the resources and the interests. And I mean, like some of the different ways people have come up with have just been so fantastic. And so yes, Harold, go for it. All of you, consider yourselves empowered to be creative and flexible, and see what else we can do, what new places we can reach people and highlight the moon.
So we have some questions coming in from YouTube. The first question, pretty important. Are the moon maps available in Spanish?
So we have some limited resources available in Spanish. The moon map itself is not translated into Spanish. We do have the save the date cards in multiple languages. We've heard from people that there are some translation servers out there that can do a pretty good job, and we would love to actually have official versions that are in Spanish. That would be amazing. We'd love them in many languages. Unfortunately, we do not have them in Spanish right now. We do have Northern and Southern Hemisphere versions to help with getting at least the images visible, but we do not have them officially in Spanish. I'm very sorry, and I hope that someday we will. And we've talked actually at length with the Spanish language communications team at NASA headquarters. And so we are working on these types of things, but just not available quite yet.
Another question we had was, in case of bad weather for clubs and individuals that plan on events that just don't come to fruition, will NASA have an International Observe the Moon night live stream?
Yes, so we will have actually two different options of live streaming. So one will have a NASA Plus broadcast. We're going to make that live on September 14th, and then you can watch it anytime. It'll be live and it'll be recorded from September 14th on. And that will have lots of information about different aspects of lunar science and exploration. There's been some really exciting things going on. And so we're going to have some in-studio interviews. We're going to have some greetings from around the world. It should be really fun. So looking forward to that. And we'll also have some live streams of telescopes from around the world. In fact, some of the Night Sky Network members are offering some live streams of telescopes. So there will be some live content on September 14th.
If you're subscribed to our newsletter, also, you can expect to get email blast from us right around the event with some rainy day resources, just stuff that we can do and no matter the weather, including live streams.
We have a question. I'm starting outreach towards low vision communities. Is it possible to obtain some of the Braille and raised moon maps for this?
Ooh,
That's a
that
great
is
question.
That is a great question. So NASA has produced some of those resources. I'm glad you know that they're out there. This one, I think it might be another like connection. I don't know if they're not easily searchable online. You can email either Caela there directly or our program website anytime, and we can try to connect you to those resources. But NASA has produced some Braille moon maps, and they are normally able to offer those free of cost to those who can use them in a way that will reach multiple people. It's not normally sent to like an individual home, but if you are reaching a community of sorts, we can sometimes do that. So please reach out to us. I don't know if we can find a website where the direct connection is.
I just put in the chat the survey, which
Oh,
is NASA's
Great.
site for blind and low vision and tactile books. So I'm not sure how many of them are available. They make several thousand, I think, and then they distribute them, but they would be the people who would have the maps that you're talking about.
I'll also mention that Moon Trek, which is another resource that we point to, you can download files from anywhere on the moon or go to NASA 3D prints, and you can go to a library or a makerspace or order out and get a 3D print of the moon or different parts of the moon. And those are really wonderful, both for those who have like sight impaired or anybody. I can really learn a lot myself just from feeling those surfaces. So that's another option. And you might also consider things like rocks, for example, basalt. And if you can get access to it, anorthosite, those are the two dominant rocks on the moon, and you can feel, the differences a little bit in them as well. So those are a few different options. That would be wonderful to have everyone who's interested be able to participate. We really, really hope that you do that. Thank you.
There's a question about slides being available from this presentation. And I think everybody who's registered can receive these slides unless there's some, I don't see anybody being like, oh no. So I think that's fine. We can share that with people with the email that you've registered with.
The presentation will also be available as a recording on YouTube and on our live streams page.
Good point. So you can get it from the NSN YouTube, or you can get it from the International Observe the Moon Night page.
Oh, we've got more folks projecting giant moons. Love
Yay.
it.
Oh, that is so fantastic. I love the giant experiences. I think that's so fun. We've printed out some moon maps. We've got one in Albuquerque right now, that's on loan forever, I think, because so many people come visit that museum. And just the idea of walking on the moon or dancing on the moon or, just being able to be up close there is so neat. Someday I have visions of like football fields being covered in giant moon maps or baseball stadiums. Like the LRO camera images are so big, and like all concerts should have backgrounds of like space images, in my opinion. But that is wonderful. I love those of you who have those resources and are using them.
So we're at the top of the hour, and there is one more question in the chat. Will there be a way for NSN events to be copied directly over to International Observe the Moon Night registration as we have in the past? While I do not know the answer to that question directly, I will say for our NSN coordinators, it is incredibly important that not only, you add your event to the calendar, but that you report on the event as well. So, and this goes for all events. If you have an event on your calendar that you've scheduled and that has already happened and passed, it's important to go back into that calendar and report on the event and, just putting in your demographics of how many people came and what materials you used, if any, and if you have any photos that you want to share. So that's something that I can definitely speak to in terms of that. But I can certainly get back to folks if there is a way to kind of cross post events. I'm sure there is. It might be manually where you have to just copy paste, but I don't see why that would be a problem. But of course, just make sure that you report on your NSN events.
Yeah, we usually do that, and I can't imagine that we wouldn't do that again this year.
Yeah, I would say that as well. We'll figure that out. If you report it through Night Sky Network, we will get it over to the International Observe the Moon Night side. So you only have to do it once. We appreciate that. That's a lot of effort. So thank you for doing that. And for Sandlin to comb through all of that data. Well, thank you all. This has been such a wonderful opportunity. We really appreciate your interest and how much you do to engage your communities in lunar science and exploration and celebrations of the moon and the experiences that you offer. We know that a lot of people get their first foray into moon observations through this event, and you make that possible. So thank you for that. And thank you, amazing colleagues, for helping us get ready each year. And thank you, Night Sky Network, for being wonderful hosts as you are always. So really appreciate it and appreciate all your time. I hope the moon is a beautiful, beautiful view for all of you coming up in September and anytime you get the chance to see it.
Thank you all so much. Have a great rest of your evening.
And Kat, aren't we inviting people to the Cosmic Conversations next week as a follow-up to this?
We are, yes. My apologies. We do have our Cosmic Conversations happening. This is on August 14th. We will be sending out an email reminder for that. I'm trying to get the link for it now. My apologies. Let's see.
And we also have a webinar for September, I believe.
We do have a
that is
webinar coming up for September. The date for that hasn't been finalized yet. So we're still waiting, but that'll be at the end of September. But if you are in the Zoom, you can register for our Cosmic Conversations for August. I went ahead and put the link in the chat here. And this is just kind of a follow-up discussion, like I mentioned earlier, where we can bounce ideas off of each other and get into breakout rooms and talk about, what is it that maybe you did last year for International Observe the Moon Night that you want to change up or do differently. If it's your first time hosting an event, you can hear from others some of their own experiences of some of the things that they've tried and were successful with, or they tried and weren't successful with, just to kind of give you a sense of, okay, maybe I can, do this with my community. So it's just a good way to interact with your fellow amateur astronomers and informal educators.
It's so nice to see all the thank yous in the chat. Thank you guys for coming and for all of the events you host and for all of the engaging people with the sky. We really appreciate your efforts and thank you so much for attending tonight and for all of you on YouTube for watching tonight. We're at 6:04 here in the East Coast, 9:04, I'm sorry, 9:04 on the East Coast, 6:04 on the West Coast, and all over the world. We're at different times. So thanks for joining us and have a good day, night, morning, evening, wherever you are.
Take care, everyone.